Hello everyone, Callum here, and welcome back to another Budget Blitz Deck Tech, where we are brewing up some spicy lists without the aid of any Majestics or Legendaries. Today we come to the last, but certainly not the least, of the new Monarch heroes, Sir Boltyn. Look at him charging in there. Now, there are many different ways that you can build the Boltyn deck, even in a budget shell, and since we've had a couple of reasonably competitive lists lately, I wanted to try and build something a little more angled towards fun. So, without further ado, I present to you this deck that I'm calling the Hatchet Man Cometh. Okay, well, as you can see, this list is one for the purists who believe that warriors should be about attacking with weapons. We do have a couple of attack action cards in here, but they're mainly just here to get cards into our soul so that we can take advantage of Boltyn's hero ability. Our game plan in the early turns is to try to use these charge cards like Take Flight or Express Lightning and these light attacks like Illuminate and Rising Solar Tide to get cards into our soul. This is important because we want to be giving go again to our pumped up weapons later in the game. Now, while Boltyn is a Monarch hero, you might notice there's a decent number of cards from Welcome to Rathe in here. Most notably, Nature's Path Pilgrimage, which we are running the full 6 copies of. Now, this is a card that I feel has flown under the radar a little bit in the past. It was difficult to use in Dorinthia because she mostly runs attack reaction cards, which Nature's Path can't hit. But, as you can see, in this deck, every single card is an action card, so you're never going to miss if you manage to connect with a Nature's Path Pilgrimage swing. Now, your opponent's probably going to try and take steps to stop that from happening. But the thing is, they don't know that you're not running any attack reactions, so there's a possibility that they may choose not to defend or even over-defend your attack, fearing an attack reaction, at which point you give it go again with Boltyn's hero ability, and then you hit them with the other hatchet, the classic 1-2 punch, maybe even pumped up with a sharpened steel or plow through or something like that. Also note, if you do feel like throwing a couple of attack reactions in this deck just to mix things up and throw your opponent for a loop, that's completely fine. These decks are all just jumping off points, so feel free to tailor them to your playstyle or your tastes. Just be aware that every attack reaction you do put in does make your Nature's Path Pilgrimages ever so slightly worse. Now you'll notice that this is a very resource-intensive deck. While your weapon attacks and attack actions and pumps are all pretty cheap, they do add up fast. So we have a couple of energy potions here on hand to help with that, and your Blood Drop Brocade can come in handy in a pinch when you really need that extra resource. Of course, it would be nice if it was a Findel Spring Tunic, but it's a pretty designer piece of fabric, so we work with what we've got. Now, when you've softened your opponent up a little bit and you're looking to go in for the kill, a nice play pattern is to break your Gallantry Gold, attack with one of your hatchets, give it go again, either with Boltyn's hero ability or maybe your Fraction Bolters or something like that, and then use Push Forward and Second Swing to come in with a big dominated axe for 10 right to the dome, which should be difficult to block because this deck has so many threatening on-hit triggers that it can wear your opponent's equipment down pretty quickly, which makes those dominate attacks all the more lethal. Speaking of which, in terms of upgrading, a card that I wish I could include, but I can't because it's a Majestic, is Spill Blood, which gives both of your axes dominate and pumps them up, and it's a great finisher for this deck. And it also makes hitting with those Nature's Path Pilgrimages a lot easier. So that would be the first card that I'd be looking to splash out on. Also, some Braveforge Braces are pretty nice for their added defense and that recurring ability, and the Tunic, as I mentioned earlier, can make life a lot easier because I often find myself, really just wanting that one extra resource a lot of the time. But if you don't have those cards, don't worry. All you really need are your trusty hatchets. So, what are you waiting for? Sharpen those bad boys up, head on down to your local armory, and get swinging. And we'll see you next time on another episode of Budget Blitz.